used to go door to door. Can you imagine? I used to see one woman, she was called Mbide in my village. And she used to carry a bag. And she knew which woman to take those pills to. And those pills were hidden. When women took them, they took every day one, and they hid because their husbands did not want to see them taking these pills. But this woman kept on going to every home. Every end of the month, she knew, you are finished. And she used to write. And she had never been to school. And that was done by Njue and I kept on wondering what they were doing. Well done. Well done. You still have a lot of work to do in that area. You were also the first women organization to translate your constitution into Kiswahili. You have so many firsts. Therefore, when you look at what Maendeleo has done, you have so much that we can talk about.
Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the country is yet to confirm a homegrown positive case of the COVID-19 variant. However, a number of travelers arriving in the country through the airports have tested positive. Kagwe argues the country has a chance of mitigating a possible foreseeable spike if more Kenyans get vaccinated, warning county governments to get ready as COVID-19 isolation facilities countrywide once the waves hit. We will be having a much comprehensive report on the same as he is in Mombasa, and Kamche Menza will also bring us a more detailed version of that report. First of all, cross over now to Mombasa, where Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe is currently addressing the press.
The Omicron variant among some of the travelers who have been traveling through Kenya, and we have at least 3 cases so far. We have a lot of other samples that we are sequencing. So in the next 2 days, I will be able to confirm the spread or otherwise of the Omicron variant in the country. As I had said earlier, what we are hearing and what the information we are getting from other countries across the world are that the variant spreads very, very, very quickly, very fast. The effect of the spread is that if one has been vaccinated, the level of attack is a lot less, and the need for hospitalization is limited. So if one has been vaccinated, they are getting chills, a bit of headaches, and so on. But so far, what we have seen ourselves and what we have heard from our colleagues from South Africa and elsewhere is that the level of hospitalization is less than the Delta variant that we had some time back. So far, the hospitalization cases that we have in our country are still Delta. We have not detected any Omicron variants in our hospitals. But of course, as I said, we are carrying out sequencing in all our laboratories so that we are able to give Kenyans a better picture of where we stand as far as the Omicron variant is concerned. It is clear, however, that moving forward, the Omicron variant is likely to be the dominant variant, not just in our country, but across the world. And we are happy that the management of the variant globally is now being handled in a better way. We have heard that some countries that, for example, had closed and locked out people traveling from some countries have been removed from the red lists, and that's a good plan, because the way to manage the virus is to ensure that we keep away the virus, but not necessarily keep away people. This variant is there with us. It is going to spread. There is no question about it. And it's a question of us preparing ourselves. We have urged that through the COG that all counties begin serious preparation for any eventuality. We have also urged that Kenyans get vaccinated. This is no time to debate. This is no time to start hesitating when it comes to getting vaccinated. The statistics are clear. In the countries that have got a widespread Omicron variant, it is clear that if you have been vaccinated, you are much better off than if you have not been vaccinated. If you have not been vaccinated, what you are threatening is your livelihood. You are likely to get sick faster than if you are not. You are going to go to hospital. You are going to spend money, that you do not necessarily need to spend. You are going to impoverish yourself with huge bills that you don't have to incur. So our, as a government, what we are saying is that let's everybody get out there and get vaccinated. And we have asked the county government to wrap up capabilities and preparations for that. And for that, I would like to ask Governor Wambora to just add something on to it.
Thank you, Waziri. I just want to confirm what Waziri Senator Kagwe said. We are aware of this problem, of this new variant, and we, the county governors, all over the 47 counties, we are ready to work closely with the Minister of Health, and we are insisting on the protocols which they have already given out, which our people will have to follow. So we are ready. We are confirming that our oxygen plants are functional and the ICU beds are ready. Preparedness is always the best way to deal with these kind of surprises. Thank you.
Let me just add, for the benefit of the wider community and those who have been saying that we are making it mandatory, let me just add that we are not going to mandate anybody to be vaccinated. We are not forcing anybody to be vaccinated. However, we must recognize that internationally there are mitigating measures that have got to be followed. For example, when it comes to airlines, when it comes to trains, when it comes to buses, internationally, that is what is happening now across the world. If you go to Italy tomorrow and you want to go to a restaurant, you will have to show that you have been vaccinated. This is the practice elsewhere, and that is what is going to happen to our country as well. Whether we like it or we don't like it, the inconveniences are there, but they are necessary inconveniences. It is necessary because we are trying to stifle the whole spread in the country, but more importantly, we want to make sure that we don't get into lockdowns. That's what we are avoiding. By getting everybody vaccinated, we can avoid locking down our economy. We are aware that there are neighboring countries that have already gone into emergency lockdowns, that have gone into curfew, and so on and so forth. So far, we are not announcing any of those. We are not announcing a lockdown. We are not announcing curfew hours. This is something we are observing, and in the next 2-3 days, we will be able to tell the country whether it is necessary for us to go back to some of those measures. For now, we are observing. As long as we continue high vaccination rates, it may not be necessary for us to get there. But of course, we will take every measure that is necessary to ensure that we secure the livelihoods of Kenyans. Yes, please. The cases were actually, we had one South African and 2 Kenyans. They obviously immediately went into quarantine. So as we speak, you know, those are people who have been quarantined. And in any case, moving forward, anybody who would be detected with it must go to quarantine. Any other questions? Yes.
There has been some serious flu bug at the moment. Should Kenyans be concerned?
Not yet. We are not panicking yet. As I say, there are things we observe before we go into map to panic mode. We must observe the severity of the flu. We must observe the hospitalization, and in any case, whether there is any fatalities that have increased. And so far, the statistics that we have do not point to a situation that should cause panic.
How long does genome sequencing take to establish the...
A day or two.
In the next 2 days, we'll be able to know
in the next 2 days, we are carrying out continuous sequencing as it is.
And again, is the government testing the UK and people traveling from the UK and South Africa at the moment?
We are testing, as you know, if you go to the airport today, you'll find that as soon as you arrive at the airport, you are tested for COVID-19.
Okay.
What is the plan in terms of the booster doses in Kenya, given that the AstraZeneca.
Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe live from Mombasa addressing the press and indeed the whole nation on the COVID update, and talking about the Omicron variant hasn't landed in the country yet, but he said no need for alarm, but of course he and of course the ministry are working towards establishing whether the variant has gotten into the country, and he says a day or two we will be able to identify that. Also, he has talked about the Delta variant being the only dominant one in the country, but he has said we need to get prepared for any eventualities, and they are not, as a government, they are not announcing any containment measures as yet. So we need all to be careful on each and everything that we do in matters COVID, and of course get the jab, that the clarion call by the Ministry of Health, get the COVID-19 jab. Well, we will be getting much more from Njue, Karisa, and not Kamche Menza, as I had alluded to earlier, with the latest from Mombasa and on the COVID-19 situation. Well, in other news, the Kenya Defence Forces KDF service members are set to benefit from over 3,000 housing units through a public-private partnership arrangement at a cost of 5.3 billion shillings. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the proposed residential accommodation at the Roysambu military camp in Nairobi, President Uhuru Kenyatta said the project will go a long way in providing decent housing to the soldiers and their families.
With the Kenya Defence Forces KDF facing a shortfall of 45,000 housing units for its service personnel, the Ministry of Defence intends to construct at least 3,069 housing units in the first phase. During a groundbreaking, President Uhuru Kenyatta said the project is to be executed within 2 years starting from December 2021.
Ni mwanzo. Na tukiona, na mimi sina shaka ya kwamba huu mradi utatekelezwa kulingana na vile mipango ilivyo, kwa muda mchache sana tutaweza kuongeza huu mradi kuhakikisha ya kwamba kila askari anaishi kwa nyumba ambaye inafaa na anaishi katika kambi ya jeshi kulingana na matakwa ya kisheria vile inatakikana.
The president said the housing units will be distributed in 5 regions: Nairobi, Nanyuki, Lanet, Gilgil and Nyali barracks. Construction at all the 5 sites are scheduled to run concurrently, with Roysambu site expected to be completed in June 2022.
Kwa hivyo sisi tutaendelea kufanya lolote ambalo tutaweza kuwasaidia kutekeleza jukumu lenu na pia kuchunga welfare yenu, kuimprove equipment yenu, ndio nyinyi pia muweze kutekeleza hiyo shughuli ya kulinda wananchi na kulinda taifa letu la Kenya, mkijua ya kwamba familia zenu zimeishi na inachungwa kwa njia ambayo inatakikana.
According to the Ministry of Defence, the project entails the construction of married quarters in form of 3 and 2 bedroom houses and single quarters.
This is in line with your Big Four agenda and particularly, Your Excellency, the housing pillar. I'm very, very pleased that MOD will be contributing towards the realization of the Big Four and particularly the housing pillar through this project.
We've had the intention to build houses mainly to get the soldiers living in one area, principally because it is important for them to be in one area for ease of mobilization. And this dream, Your Excellency, has come true.
The project, once completed, shall accommodate 980 families in addition to providing single accommodation to 2,089 service members, in line with the government's Big Four agenda of affordable housing. Ben Chumba, Lunchtime News.
In other news, more than 13 days since the Ambimbo gold mine tragedy, families of the victims are leading contrasting lives. One family is still camping at the collapsed gold mine. Another is making burial arrangements for their kin who died in the tragedy, while another is celebrating a miracle. Take a look.
20 kilometers from the collapsed mine, residents of Malela village in West Uyoma have converged for a Thanksgiving ceremony, complete with a feast to celebrate the miracle that saw Jack Onyango survive the 6-day ordeal. A bull has been slaughtered as villagers and friends join Onyango in thanking God and also pray for his colleague Tomokwach, who is yet to be traced by the rescuers.
Na sasa tunataka kushukuru kila mtu ambaye aliweza kufanya hii siku ikakuwa, kwa sababu Jack alikuwa pale siku 6 na baadaye tulikuja tukaungana na yeye. Hiyo yote inachukua mkono ya Mungu, kwa sababu kama sisi wenyewe hatungeweza kufanya chochote.
Jack Onyango's mother says the miners should not be blamed for the tragedy because they were simply trying to make a living.
Bila kuna kazi ndio watoto wanahangaika pande hii na pande hii. Na sisi wasasi hatuna furaha, tunaona usuni kabisa.
Jack Onyango is thankful to God and all those who participated in his rescue.
Kwanza nashukuru Mungu kwa kufanyia vile nilifanya. I was among the people that got accident at Abimbo.
But as Onyango's family beam with joy back at the Abimbo gold mine, it is all gloom. The family of Tomokwach prepares to spend yet another cold night, hoping that the rescuers will come out with good news. Okwach is the only one still trapped in the mine.
Although naweza ona kazi inaendelea pole pole, si kubaya, lakini hapo penye kijana hako si mzuri.
Tom's elder brother Stephen Aliwa says though the long wait was taking toll on the family, they are thankful to everyone involved in the rescue mission.
Kifanya haraka, hata tukienda speedi, hata tunaweza poteza watu wengine. Ni risk. Sasa lazima tuende pole pole. Ndio maana tuliomba support, serikali watusaidie.
Mtoto yangu bado ako chini. Naomba serikali anisaidie kutafuta hiyo mtoto iko chini. Tafadhali.
The family says they will continue camping at the site until their son is found.
And to yet another tragedy, one person has died on the spot and several others injured in a road accident that involved a car and a trailer truck along the Nakuru-Nairobi highway. According to eyewitnesses, the accident occurred when the driver of the truck lost control and hit an oncoming car, killing its driver instantly. The injured were rushed to the Kikuyu hospital for treatment. Area residents are now calling on the relevant authorities to erect bumps on the highway as a remedy to the frequent accidents along the road stretch.
Hii lori ambayo iko nyuma yetu ilikuwa inatoka upande wa Nakuru ikielekea upande wa Nairobi. Wakati ilipokuja imekosa break na driver amejaribu sana kuidhibiti kwa sababu alikuwa anataka kuigongesha kwenye mlima huu, na kwa ajali mbaya gari ndogo ambayo ilikuwa inateremka ikalaliwa naye. Kuna mtu mmoja amepotesha maisha, mmoja ameokolewa na amepelekwa hospitali.
Ndio bump kubwa gari inafunga kutoka juu mpaka chini ya hiyo mteremko. Serikali tunaomba itusaidie kwa hii mteremko ya Gitaru.
Away from that, a section of civil societies in Nakuru have formed a technical committee to seek ways of curbing teenage pregnancy and school dropout among adolescents. The initiative, mooted under the auspices of Nakuru Reproductive Health Network, aims also to mitigate new HIV infections among teenagers.
Knowledge Speaking during the commissioning of the Coalition of Partners on Reproductive Health in Nakuru, Nakuru Reproductive Health Network Secretary Cosmas Mutua said the initiative brings together 10 human rights groups, officials from the Department of Basic Education, Youth Affairs, health and religious organizations to create a pool of resources to power the campaign in 11 sub-counties of the region.
Haya maambukizi ya HIV and AIDS ambapo yako kwa teenagers, tunaweza fanya nini ndio tuweze kuleta yale maambukizi chini na mwisho tuweze kuyamaliza? Maana tumeona ameongezeka kwa wingi na lazima tushikane kama jamii. Hatuwezi kunyamaza wakati hali ilivyo sasa.
He said the technical working group coordinated by the Department of Interior and National Coordination will mount an advocacy that will ensure teenage mothers resume learning.
Wazazi wana jukumu gani na wako na jambo gani ambao wanaweza kufanya ili tushikane mikono ili tuweze kumaliza mambo ya teenage pregnancy, na pia hata mashirika tofauti na idara tofauti, hata religious leaders. Hii technical working group inaleta kila mtu pamoja ili kuweza kuwa na yule mjadala.
The Director for Children's Services in Nakuru County, Alice Wanyonyi, tasked parents to exercise vigilance on their children during this festive season, saying adolescent girls are increasingly vulnerable than boys.
Ni likizo fupi lakini inaweza kuwa na madhara makubwa. Kwa hivyo tuchukue tu jukumu kama wazazi na tulinde watoto wetu. Tungependa tuone wote wakimaliza haya masomo ya msingi na maisha yao yanyoke, sio kwamba yaharibiwa hapa katikati.
Learning has been paralyzed in Kerio Valley for a second day running after teachers' union and local leaders rallied parents to withdraw their children from school to protest the deteriorating security situation in the region. On Tuesday, the locals and their leaders staged another wave of protest in Arol Ward, Marakwet West Sub-County, culminating at Kipkaner Primary School, and asked the school management to take over the schools since there would be no learners and teachers in school. The residents said it was a risky affair to allow the schools to continue, with bandits turning the facilities into battlefields.
Leo shule tumewachia kamati ya shule, mkuu wa elimu katika tarafa hili pamoja na DCC wetu kwamba waone shule imechungwa kwa usalama mpaka ile siku serikali watadhibiti mambo ya usalama ndio wanafunzi na walimu watarudi.
How come you have already sent NBR to Laikipia? How come you have not given us NBR? The other day we had a meeting with the IG and his two deputies, and they said they want to give us 40 NBR along the valley. 40 is nothing. We need a minimum of maybe 40 for our own ward, and then the rest of Kerio Valley from Mokil to Sambalat, we need maybe another 200.
In other news, residents of several villages in Ololoitishi, location Kajiado, are crying foul of the poor state of roads that connect the villages to Kitengela. The locals are now calling on the government and relevant authorities to intervene and ease their sufferings, especially during the rainy seasons.
According to the residents, every time it's rain season, life in the village literally comes to a standstill, with schools and markets becoming inaccessible.
Na wakati wanakandarasi wanapewa kutengeneza, wanakuja wanafanya tu grading, wakisha toa ile maram, basi wakati kunanyesha maji inabeba ile kidogo imebaki na inakuwa vigumu sana magari kupita, inakuwa
Patients who require medical attentions are also affected.
Mgonjwa akipatikana hapa kwetu hawezi pata nafasi ya kufika hospitali.
Locals now want leaders held accountable for the poor state of the roads.
Inviting the EACC to come and investigate and tell us what happened to the 10 million that was allocated to this road. Because we have a feeling that the money was siphoned by the county leaders. So we want an explanation.
Elsewhere, Makueni County residents have been urged to be cautious following the ongoing torrential rains in the region.
Watu wengi wamepelekwa na hiyo maji wakati wanafuka barabara. Tumeona basi ambao imeoa watu wengi, na mimi niseme tuwe uangalifu.
Last commercial break, but don't go away. We still have more news, not forgetting business and also sports.
kupata sikiza tune hii ya mwanzo mpya, bonyeza *811*815#.
Usikae hapo na kujihurumia eti kwa sababu ulikosea ama ulianguka. Maisha wakati mwingine utapata umeanguka ama umekosea. Pata mafunzo pale. Unapopata mafunzo, inuka tena, kung'uta mavumbi, songa mbele. Yaliyopita jamani, si ndwele, ganga yajayo, maana kuna nguvu katika mwanzo mpya.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya mwanzo mpya, bonyeza *811*815#, *811*815#.
Inaonyesha kuwa utakuwa na hatari kubwa sana.
Hatari gani?
I'm tired. Akili, nimechoka. Sasa uko hata kulipa mshahara bila kufanya kazi.
Mara uko sawa, mara unabadilisha mawazo. Mimi nitakuelewa vipi?
This is too much.
Uniform yako hiyo.
Ya nini?
Ya kazi.
Umemwona?
Nani?
Chiku. Huyu mwanamke ana nini lakini hatulii?
Tanguliza kwa kauli kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ul an ra'iyatihi, yani kila mmoja ni mchunga na kila mmoja ataulizwa kuhusiana na kile ambacho amekichunga.
Tutaleaje watoto wetu? Je, tuwalea vipi watoto wetu? Je, watoto wetu wana maadili ama je watoto wetu wana adabu ama watoto wetu wana tarbia nzuri?
Think about this for a minute.
There's nothing to think about.
For many years, for most of my life in fact, I have been resisting the urge to take someone's life. I think it'd be easier to start at the end, which is here.
Paul, I'm not stupid.
Welcome back, and just in case you joined us, this is KBC Lunchtime News. Moving on, residents of Galole, Tana River County have raised concern over the state of Boji Masalani Road that has once again been cut off following a heavy downpour. The residents say the section is costing them great business losses and hinders them from getting urgent medical services. They now are calling on the government to come to their aid.
Kuna shimo ambalo kwamba limechimbika na maji, na shimo hilo tayari lishachukua kijana wetu, amekufia hapo kwa sababu ya kufuata kiatu cha baba yake. Yaani hiyo shimo imekuwa adui ya kumaliza jamii.
Hii barabara kwa kila mwaka inapoteza zaidi ya 500,000. Zaidi ya 500,000. Mara hii mimi mwenyewe hata wenzangu imenichoma 120,000. Maembe yamevunwa kamvua kadogo kuja, hakuna mahali maembe yanaenda. Magari ya Masalani kupeleka chakula hayaendi kwa sababu hii barabara hapa.
Sasa tuomba serikali tusaidie kuhusu hii barabara, sababu tutapata shida sana, watoto wajawazito, wamama tutapata shida sana.
And still at the coast, a woman in Kilifi County has accused the Malindi Water and Sewerage Company of refusing to compensate her family for the death of her husband. Gladys Tatu says her husband, a former employee of the company, died 9 years ago in the line of duty.
Gladys Tatu, a mother of 2, said the water company officials have been giving her false promises for years.
Kila nikifika pale anatafuta tu sababu ya kunikwaza, nasikia uchungu tu sana. Hizo documents walichukua, alafu baadaye wakaja wakageuka wakasema kwamba hawaoni hiyo death certificate na mimi ndio nilikuwa nayo. Kumbe alikuwa amempatia brother yake akaenda kauza plot ya bwanangu kule Msoloni.
Gladys says the last 9 years have been full of pain and despair.
Pesa baba yao iko pale imekaa imetulia. Na wanangu wanateseka kiasi hiki, ni uchungu sana. Naomba tu kama wangeweza kuwa na huruma na mimi na watoto wangu, watuangalie tu.
She says it has been difficult raising school fees for her 2 children.
Naomba tu hata kama hawatanionea huruma mimi, maana mimi ni mtu mzima, waonee huruma tu watoto wangu, hiyo pesa ipatikane, wanangu tu wasome tu vizuri. Manake hawa ndio jamii yangu na hawa ndio kesho yangu.
Malindi Water and Sewerage Company Managing Director Gerald Mwabire confirmed that the woman is yet to be compensated, but disclosed that the matter is being handled by the company's insurance. For Lunchtime News, I'm Rahma Shanko.
We do hope that she gets justice. Elsewhere, mobility challenges caused by jiggers infestation have hit the village of Chebukube in Bungoma County. Primary school going children are worst affected, a situation that is negatively affecting their concentration in school. The head teacher of Bukuhutu Primary School, Justin Okwara, says schools are reporting high rates of absenteeism, which is in turn affecting their performance.
In our school, we are really affected with these jiggers. Even during class hours, pupils just strain because they cannot concentrate in class because of jiggers.
Absenteeism is too much. Number 2, when the teacher is teaching, the pupils are concentrating, scratching their legs, their hands, because of what? The effect of jiggers. And that's why we decided to look for a well-wisher to come and try to solve this problem.
Moving on, the Anti-Counterfeit Agency now say the fight against COVID-19 has been hampered by an increase in counterfeit medical supplies and equipment. According to the agency, the majority of recovered counterfeits in the country were imported, with face masks topping the list.
A few weeks ago, the agency confiscated medical face masks worth over 20 million shillings and arrested several suspects who have already been charged in court. According to Agnes Karingo, a senior manager with Anti-Counterfeit Agency, the mentality that imports worked better than local products was to blame for the influx of counterfeit products.
And one of the measures that have now been taken up by the government and through an amendment of the Anti-Counterfeit Act is that it has introduced the mandatory registration of all imports that are coming into the country, and this is going to be happening at the source of the goods.
She said that of the total goods seized in the last 2 years, 1.3% was pharmaceutical products which had already been smuggled into the country. A director in the Ministry of Health, Osman Wafa, termed the pandemic as a game changer that had opened up opportunities in terms of innovation.
Because a lot has happened, but we really want now to move forward in this area with research and development, which is expected to spur development in our country and in the region.
We encourage our students, we encourage our institutions to put money in those research. That answers the questions for Kenyans. And that can actually be moved to products where necessary. So that is the position for AMREV and also the position for the civil society organization, that we invest in research that addresses our priorities.
They were speaking on the ongoing East African Hybrid Regional Health, Research and Trade Conference in Lake Naivasha Resort. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Wamboi Otiende.
Let's now focus on matters business, where the government has launched a 6.4 billion shillings electrification program targeting to connect 600 public facilities such as markets, health centers, educational institutions, tea buying centers, coffee factories and administration centers. The project that is being undertaken by the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation has identified the facilities in 131 constituencies in 35 counties.
The electrification project targets to power public institutions and households to drive economic activities in various areas. The target facilities to be electrified have been placed in 5 lots from Nyanza and Western Region, North Rift, South Rift, Central and Upper Eastern, and the Lower Eastern and Coast Region. The electrification project is being funded by the government and various Arab development partners. Energy Cabinet Secretary Monica Juma says the project will be complete by June 2022, saying it is set to provide electricity to 35,460 households.
Tutajenga kilomita 2,850 za laini za stima. Takuwa na transformer 1,200.
The project has been backed to significantly transform rural economies by enhancing how social services such as education and health are offered.
Tutapeana stima kwenye shule, mashule, kwenye market centers, kwenye hospitali ndogo ndogo baina ya 1,200.
Kuna maendeleo mengi ambayo imefungamana na hii stima.
It is estimated that in each of the 5 project areas, over 7,000 households will be connected to electricity from construction of 500 kilometers of medium voltage distribution lines. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Said.
Now, the cooperative movement leaders have welcomed the draft cooperative bill, saying it would streamline registration and regulation of SACCOs if enacted into law. The leaders who made the remarks after a validation exercise for the draft bill said the proposal for each cooperative to have a nomination committee for vetting those seeking leadership positions would help strengthen corporate governance.
Speaking during a sensitization meeting with cooperative leaders, Cooperative's Principal Secretary Ali Noor Ismail said the business environment has changed after the promulgation of the Constitution in the year 2010 that saw cooperatives devolved. Among the issues that the bill seeks to address are on the issues of governance and other strategic intervention that may be needed in the sector, such as value addition, agro-processing, as well as inclusion of women and the youths.
Through the Constitution, cooperatives became a devolved function. So, unfortunately, however, there wasn't enough clarity as to what is the role of the national government and what is the role of. So, this bill has actually made or delineated in very clear terms, but within the provisions of the Constitution, the roles that the national government will undertake, which is largely around policy and legislation, and also the roles that the county government will undertake.
Stakeholder engagement of the draft cooperative bill, which proposes that registration of cooperatives be a shared function between the national and county governments, have been completed with the proposed law validated. This means for a cooperative to be registered, the process starts at the county government, who will recommend them for the issuance of certificate by the Commissioner of Cooperatives.
Some of the key issues that have been captured in the bill, one is about the registration of cooperatives. The registration is a concurrence function between the national and county government, but for any cooperatives to be registered, it has to emanate from the county, and the county has to do all the promotion for a cooperative training and recommend for the issuance of the certificate.
The new law seeks to streamline registration, supervision, and regulation of the SACCOs.
We also want to make the SACCOs to be a bit stronger, especially by empowering the regulator, the SASRA, to ensure that they have more functions and they have a structure which can support the number of SACCOs which have coming in. So we are trying to bring in SACCOs, all of them, to be under regulations. We have done the 2 tiers. We have the deposit taking and we have the non-deposit taking. Those who have 100 million and above, all of them have been brought under the ambit of regulations.
The bill also proposes creation of a nomination committee to vet the competence and suitability of persons seeking to vie for elective positions in a cooperative society. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the medical world just as we know it, and Kenya is no different from other countries, but we have something that may change, maybe a game changer when it comes to pharmaceuticals in the country's Square, which is a Bangladeshi pharmaceutical multinational, is setting up a pharmaceutical farm that is worth 2.4 billion Kenya shillings. It's being constructed right here in Kenya. And now joining us is Square Pharmaceuticals Kenya Limited, Tapan Chondri, who is the managing director. Hi, Doc. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
And now, kindly bring us up to speed. Where exactly will this facility be constructed?
The factory building is almost ready. It is going to be near the export processing near Ate. I hope this does the right pronunciation. The river area there in the export processing zone.
Now, what will be the impact of the facilities in improving of access to quality, safe medicine in Kenya and the region?
You know, last year there was a BBC report, and that they quoted the World Health Organization's report that 42% of the fake medicine between 2008, 13 and 17 were from Africa. So that shows that because of the porous border, you know, a lot of these fake medicine are, and because there's a scarcity of medicine. And Bangladesh being a very successful country in terms of producing the products from 2022, and you'd be very surprised to know that 92% of the total consumption of Bangladesh medicines are being produced locally. And Square being the largest pharma company here, and we thought that it's the high time that if we set up a pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities there in Kenya that will be able to address this issue there. And so that's going to be the really game changer in Kenya and as well as in African region.
Will this boost access to affordable medicines in Kenya? And what type of medicines are we expecting the facility to be producing?
That's what exactly that is our strength, you know, to produce the high quality products at a very, very competitive price, and we are pretty sure that is going to be affordable also. Right now, number of our products are available in Kenya market, and but all these products are imported. But this is the challenge that we accepted, and we strongly feel that no country can be dependent only on the imported product, and especially an essential product like drugs and medicine. And having that in mind, that that we have set up this interest so that we can make our products available locally at an affordable price. That's the challenge there. And we are very confident about it. And then the other products that will be replaced, the anti-malarial, anti-diabetic, the CNAs, the cardiovascular drugs, and of course the different kind of painkiller, so this is the kind of drugs that will be, of course, and also the that initially started with the gel, it's called the solid doses form in capsule and tablet form, but soon the liquid and injectable products also. And at the same time, we'll be manufacturing the antibiotics also.
Are we expecting perhaps to see COVID vaccine vaccines with time?
Sorry, you are breaking up, but if I understand, whatever the...
I'm asking whether we are expecting to be seeing COVID vaccines with time.
Yes, I will be very pleased to know that we have already, have been selling remdesivir, molnupiravir, which is the new molnupiravir is a very new molecule for the COVID-1, and the remdesivir also. But when you're talking about vaccine, it's a different. But eventually, surely that is also in our list. It's not only the COVID vaccines, but other vaccines also which are required for African markets.
Indeed. And when we look and when we talk about Kenya, we have an issue when it comes to substandard, if I may use that word, drugs and fake ones, if you ask me. And how are you working with regulators, perhaps Kenya Bureau of Standards, to ensure that what is in the country is quality drugs?
Yes. Thank you for this very important question. And we are working very closely with the Kenyan Drug Authority, and that's a very big challenge there. And right now, I think they are struggling, and they are trying to prevent that. But it's not a very tough job. It's having the it also depend on the doctors, and so we are in constant touch with them, with the regulators, and also some awareness amongst the common people, so that when they buy any product from themselves, they need to be. But I can tell you that the products that we'll be selling, that it'll be with a special mark that one can easily find it out through their cell phone also, that where this product is manufactured, all the information that one can find it very quickly through the apps. So this is one of the guarantee that the patients or the consumers will have from our side. But equally, that will be working very closely with the authority and share some of our experience that how we also tackle this sort of problem. Because others also have gone through this, the fake medicine, also the substandard medicine years back. But how we have overcome it, so this sort of. The Kenyan authority also will also be sharing our experience with the Kenyan drug authorities, and so is also our drug authorities. They are also very excited, and they are also agreed to share their expertise with the Kenyan drugs authorities.
My final question is 2.5 billion shillings facility right here in the country. How many Kenyans will get jobs there, and why did you choose Kenya?
To start with, around 700 the Kenyan people will be there. And as you know, this is almost a different kind of product. It's a white-collar job. So it is our responsible also. We feel that whenever we set up an industry there in Kenya, our first target would be to employ the local people and the local talented. So we would need number of pharmacists, chemists, engineers, and already we have a couple of them in the industry in our setup. So, but we will be recruiting more. The second question, that the reason that why we have decided, it's a very business friendly, the policy the Kenyan government has, which is, and also the repatriation of the profit, which sometimes in many countries is very difficult. But we want to reinvest, we want to grow with your success with the economy also. And we strongly feel that Kenya can play a very vital role in not only in Kenya, when you produce locally, but in other African countries, even in the regulated markets and also even in the developed countries. Like currently we are exporting our products to many of European countries, US, South American countries. So we want to use the same facility. We want to use this facility also for exporting to other countries also, which is also a condition in our manufacturing license.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Tapan Chondri, who is the MD of Square Pharmaceuticals Kenya. They are giving us an insight of the new facility, 2.5 billion shillings, that will be constructed in Machakos right here in the country. 700 youth will get job, and he says they have plans to enlarge the facility, which will also cater for needs of other countries, as they will be also exporting drugs right here from Kenya. Well, that's a we have been speaking to him live from Bangladesh. Well, in other news, nearly half of Kenya's household defaulted or delayed in their loans repayment in the past 1 year due to financial challenges. This is according to a survey by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and the Central Bank of Kenya, which indicates that 14% of households in the country requested moratorium to service their loans as they directed their cash to food.
We noticed that debt distress is a major challenge that affected consumers in 2021. Again, not very surprisingly, given the fact that we still have an ongoing pandemic, with about 10.7% of borrowers completely defaulting. All right, and then you have some who paid late, some who paid less. So that whole category of never paid, paid late, paid less, 42.6%, so quite sizable.
Financial services, the quality of financial services, issues of financial literacy, for instance, and consumer protection, transparency in pricing of financial products, resolving challenges, and concerns about household indebtedness are becoming topical. And those are highlighted in the survey.
The percentage without IDs is a staggering 28%. Then I ask myself, if then this group does not have IDs, are they able then to access some of the services that we need for inclusion? And that is actually something that we can dig in.
Please come in, Katunge.
And across borders, the Ghana Airport Company Limited say airlines that fly passengers without proof of payment for the COVID-19 test in Ghana will be fined $3,500 per passengers. The reviewed COVID-19 measures for travelers intending to enter Ghana is meant to contain the spread of the virus. Here are more of these and other stories from across the continent.
All age 18 and above arriving in Ghana will be required to provide evidence of full vaccination for a COVID-19 vaccine at the point of embarkation. Ghana is urging travelers to ensure that the COVID-19 test is conducted within 72 hours before the scheduled departure time from the country of origin. Ghana Airport Company Limited says airlines boarding passengers with a PCR test result, disembarked passengers with positive PCR test results in Accra will be fined $3,500 per passenger. Meanwhile, due to a lack of rainfall since the end of 2020, many parts of Somalia have been suffering from severe drought, with around 3.5 million Somalis being affected, especially women and children. To ease the dire situation, the World Food Programme has been provided nourishment to local residents, mainly for malnourished children and pregnant women. Each family can get the supplies once a month in the neighboring healthcare center. Lara Fosi, WFP's Deputy Country Director in Somalia, says drought has aggravated the humanitarian crisis in Somalia, which could lead to food insecurity for 30% of the country's population in May 2022. The Somali government declared a state of emergency due to the drought on November 23rd and appealed for international assistance. Finally, Iran Khodro, the biggest automobile producer in the Middle East, has reactivated its assembly line for production of Saman sedans in Senegal. The Senegalese government had agreed to extend a duty-free scheme to reactivate Iran Khodro production site in the country and resume production and supply of Siniran products. For now, the plant has started producing Saman LX cars for use in the taxi fleet, but other products are being introduced to the Senegal market to gauge the needs and taste of the country's customers.
And in sports, Kevin De Bruyne's double helped Manchester City cruise over Leeds United in a 7-0 drubbing last night that saw them extend their lead at the English Premier League summit to 4 points. Elsewhere, Bayern Munich thrashed Stuttgart 5-0 in the German's Bundesliga last night at the Mercedes-Benz Arena.
Kevin De Bruyne once again produced a top-shelf performance as he guided Manchester City to a 7-0 rout over shambolic Leeds United in their English Premier League encounter last night at the Etihad Stadium.
City all over. De Bruyne, plenty of time, plenty of room. Players queuing up. Laporte, Stones, Meslier makes 2 saves. The delivery from Foden, the header from Ake.
Elsewhere, Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa beat a Bellegarde Norwich 2-0 to move to 9th in the league.
Away from Gilmour, and he cuts into the penalty area here, the teenager, across the face of goal!
In the German Bundesliga, Serge Gnabry's hat-trick saw Bayern Munich extend their winning run with a 5-0 away to Stuttgart. Mainz overcome Hertha Berlin 4-0, Bochum lost 2-0 to Arminia Bielefeld, while Cologne won 3-2 away at Wolfsburg. Tonight, Brighton will host Wolves, Burnley will take on Watford, Crystal Palace will play at home against Southampton, while West Ham will travel away to Arsenal.
Well, that's where we put a cap on Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, for more news, you can check out our social media spaces, including our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter for this live newscast. My name is Njue. Do have yourself a blessed afternoon.